And this is why I decided to go with a mini PC, because I have essentially built myself a ZW ASI Air. So yeah, now I can basically do whatever I want from my living room. And it still thinks, because once again I haven't pulled a line. I mean, I haven't started a line. So it still thinks, there it is. It still thinks Antares is where that plant is. It's actually kind of funny. Okay, so unfortunately, we're gonna have to do some boring stuff, but I hope that this will be useful because I don't think I've seen many tutorials about this. But I am going to show you how to either run a mini PC or your laptop and connect it to your Equatorial Mount. So then you can use your laptop or mini PC to control your imaging session, and it will open up a world of possibilities. Hey everyone, Angus Wong here. For those of you who don't know, I've been running my HEQ5 Pro with a Microsoft Surface Pro 2 that I've had for the last 8 years. But unfortunately, you know, sometimes when you do astrophotography, accidents happen, and I managed to drop my Surface Pro 2 on the ground and it is no longer functional. So therefore, I decided to use this opportunity to actually make a lateral move onto a mini PC because I want to help minimize the cable drag. And I just want to note that 95% of what I'm going to show you today will be applicable to either a mini PC or a conventional laptop. The only difference is that I need to show you guys how to remote desktop into a mini PC first before you can go on with the rest of the steps. Now, there are other gadgets out there, such as the ZW ASI Air, that will help control and acquire images for you when it comes to Equatorial Mount. And the reason why I'm not using one of those is because, well, I don't have a whole lot of ZWO gadgets, nor do I care to be stuck in their ecosystem. So I think that, you know, with a mini PC or a laptop, it's going to open up the world of astrophotography for you, because there are some more advanced steps and techniques that you could do with a computer, such as guiding and plate solving. I also want to note that there is nothing wrong with just using a hand controller when it comes to your Equatorial Mount. This is more than sufficient to give you quality images, and I've been seeing this popping up lately on the internet, or, you know, across forums or Facebook groups and whatnot, that, you know, there's a little bit of a equipment shaming that's been going on. And I just want to say that do not let anybody shame you into the kind of equipment that you're using. I used a hand controller for a long time before I went into, you know, controlling my mount with a PC. And to be honest with you, unless you're guiding, you don't need to use a PC. A hand controller will get you very far. You can get quality images with just a hand controller controlled Equatorial Mount. So if any of you guys are out there shaming people for using a hand controller, y'all need to check yourself. So I see this question a lot. You know, what laptop or what computer should you get for astrophotography? And a lot of people, they want to get one machine that would do both the image acquisition and then the actual processing once you're done. So, you know, naturally, a lot of people would say, get a powerful laptop. And I'm here to tell you that that is not a good idea, because number one, a laptop that is powerful enough to run most of your processing needs would be pretty expensive. I want to say you probably need to spend at least $1,200 on a laptop to run any of your processing software adequately. Secondly, you're going to be leaving this $1,200 laptop out in the element while you're acquiring the images. And, you know, remember this? dropping your laptop. It happens very often. So what I would suggest you to do is actually split up that machine into 2 machines. Get a cheap, inexpensive laptop for image acquisition, because any current gen laptop will be able to run all of your software for image acquisition adequately well. Remember, this Microsoft Surface Pro is a tablet from 8 to 9 years ago, and it ran my mount just fine. And then spend about $700 to build your own desktop. The video that you're watching right now was processed with my $700 custom-built PC that I built back in 2019. And to this day, it's still far more powerful than any laptop you can buy on the market. So between building your own desktop for about $700 to $800 and then buying a cheap, inexpensive laptop that you don't need to worry if it's going to get wet or get damaged by the elements because it's cheap and inexpensive, you're spending about $1,000, and you're going to have a way better processing machine, and you're going to have a cheap laptop that you don't care to get ruined or dropped on the ground. One more thing I want to mention before we get started is that whenever you need to do stuff with your mount that doesn't involve any sort of imaging, try to do it during the daytime. It's just a lot more pleasant. You can see everything in front of you. You're likely going to be a little bit warmer, and it's just easier to do stuff during the daytime. So, and also it doesn't eat up your imaging hours. So yeah, if you need to work on your mount, do it during the daytime. Okay, I'm recording this part on my phone, but before I forget, make sure that you set your Equatorial Mount to PC Direct mode. Now, this is for my Skywatcher HUQ5 Pro, so if you have one, just go ahead and set it to PC Direct mode. If you don't, you need to find something that's equivalent so that the mount knows that it needs to talk to the computer. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do, especially if you're running a mini PC, I thought it had a bug on me. Especially if you're running a mini PC, then you need to get the IP address of your mini PC. And you can do that by going into your command prompt on Windows. And all you need to do is type in ipconfig. And then you're going to copy this number right here, this 192.168.527, and make sure it is the IPv4 address. Okay, so the next thing you need to do, now that you've got the IP address from your mini PC, and the next thing you need to do is really just remote desktop into it. And so you want to turn it on, and you probably can't see during the boot up because you don't have a monitor connected to it. So if I were you, I would just turn it on and then wait a minute or two, make sure it's booted up, and then you can go on to use either a laptop or a desktop, or whichever secondary computer you have, and then go into the Windows bar and just search for or type in remote desktop connection, and then just copy and paste in that IP address that you had earlier and hit connect. And then this should automatically, hopefully it's still capturing my screen, this should automatically switch over to your mini PC. And then from this point on, then it doesn't matter what you're using, either a mini PC or a laptop, everything from this point on will be identical. Okay, so before we actually do all the software installation, I also want to once again note that from this point on, it doesn't matter if you're using a mini PC or a laptop, all the steps are going to be identical. But I do want to take a moment to talk about some of the software that you'll be using in order to get your PC to start talking to your Equatorial Mount. And you can see all of them on the screen, hopefully. The first thing that I'm gonna say is you should already have Stellarium installed for planning your nights and all that stuff. But did you also know that Stellarium has a way for you to communicate with the mount? Now, in my previous attempt with the Microsoft Surface Pro, for some reason the version I had in here would not talk to my Equatorial Mount, and I had to download a sort of a messenger software called Stellarium Scope to help Stellarium talk to the mount between my PC. So it really depends on which version you have. Supposedly the latest version of Stellarium would have this feature built in, but I couldn't get it to work. So I had to download this Stellarium Scope. And then the next, the rest of these softwares, these should all be universal. You need to download ASCOM, which is basically the language for all things astrophotography. It's the language that the PC would use to communicate with the mount. And then you need to download something called EQ ASCOM mod. It's basically a software that will run your actual equatorial mount by using the ASCOM language. And then this is NINA. I use NINA for my imaging acquisition. It's very similar to the very popular astrophotography tool, but this is free and it works really well, and I like the user interface a lot more, so I'm using NINA. Finally, we have PHT2. Now you would use this for setting up your guiding. And when this is all set up, everything here will talk to one another. And that's the beauty of using a PC to run your imaging acquisition. Okay, so the first sort of software you want to install, at least for my personal workflow, is to install ASCOM. So your computer understands these equatorial languages and whatnot, these ASCOM languages. So I'm going to double click on that. And I don't remember how long this is going to take, but hopefully it won't take too long. Okay. It says I don't have Visual C++. Okay. This installer will install the required C++ for me. That sounds great. What happened to my cursor? There it is. It will install my C++. Sounds good. Okay. Okay, now my thing is frozen. Why does it do that? Okay. I'm going to leave everything at default, so I'm just going to hit install. And I'll wait for this to finish. I don't know why my little cursor shadow is stuck here, but I'll pick this up when this is done installing. Okay, so ASCOM is done installing into my computer. It probably asks you to reboot the computer. So just do that, and then when you come back, you would see these new icons over here: ASCOM Diagnostic and Profile Explorer. To be honest with you, I never even opened them. So as far as ASCOM is concerned, you should be done. Okay, so now that you've got ASCOM out of the way, your computer should know how to talk to the mount. So the next thing you need to do is install EQ mod. Open this up. Selected. Install the source file. Okay. I don't really know why there's two instances, so I'm going to leave that alone. And I'm going to hit next. And my little cursor thing is still being funky. Okay, I am going to You know what? I'm just gonna do everything. That's weird. Why did it fail? Okay, I'm not gonna read any of the stuff. Hit finish. And EQ mod should be installed. I'm gonna have to look for it. Okay. Yes, it's gotten really cold, so I'm layering up. And this is why you really want to do this during the daytime, so you don't know how long you're gonna spend out here figuring out all the software stuff. But anyways, now that you've got your EQ mod installed, you are going to go into well, first of all, you can check your installation. Go into your EQ mod folder. You're gonna see all kinds of stuff here. You have things that can actually kill EQ mod, but we're not gonna do that. As a matter of fact, you're gonna skip all of this. You're gonna go all the way down to this thing called Toolbox. And this is where you're gonna set up the actual communication between your computer and the mount. The first thing you need to do, you need to figure out which COM port your mount is being connected to, and make sure that you've got your, if you're using a Skywatcher HEQ5 Pro or EQ6R Pro, make sure you've got the thing set to PC Direct Link. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Okay, so you want to go to Device Manager, and then you want to go to Ports. And I am almost certain that this is your actual mount. It's called Prolific USB to serial COM port, and it's at COM 3. So you're gonna go back to your EQ ASCOM toolbox. You're gonna go to Driver Setup. Okay, and under Driver Setup, you're going to select timeout at 200. Actually, let me turn on my cursor thing again so you guys can see better. There it is. There. You're gonna go to timeout 200. You're gonna set retry to 200. And this should be band, B-A-N-D. Your band should be set to 9600. And why do you know that? If you go back to your device manager, right click on it, go to property, port setting, there it is, your bits per second. It's at 9600, and you're gonna leave that alone. You hit OK. And then you're gonna hit this little binocular thing to find your port. And it's telling me that it's, it matches up what my device manager is telling me, COM 3, COM 3. And then just as an additional check, you want to go to COM statistics. Now, if I select COM 1 at 9600 and I do a test, it's going to say port not found. If I go to COM 2, do the same thing, port not found. If I go to COM 14, do a test, port not found. But if you go to COM 3 and you do a test, and things are going to be happening over here, and you can ignore all of this. Once you see something, you can stop the test. You know that this is the port that you need. Okay? Just making sure that I have COM 3 selected. Hit OK. I'm going to go to ASCOM Connect. And by now, you should be connected. Let me show you what it looks like if you're not connected and you try to connect anyways. So I'm going to go back to Driver Setup. Let's just say I'm going to pick COM 9, even though it's the wrong one. I'm going to hit ASCOM Connect. and it's gonna say connect error, port not available. And then I'm just gonna go back to COM3, connect. Okay, and then I am just going to do a quick test. I'm gonna set my slew rate to 4. 4 is basically the like your 9s on a hand controller, and I'm just gonna tell this thing to go somewhere. I don't know if you can hear me, but I'll walk closer to the mount. You can actually probably see it through the video. Okay, now that I'm done moving it around as a test, I'm gonna move it back to home position and park it, and it should be doing its thing. All right, and that is how you connect EQ mod to your mount. Okay, so let's quickly recap because we're almost done. The first thing we did was, if you have a mini PC, remote desktop into your mini PC from either another laptop or a desktop, then the first actual installation we did was installing ASCOM along with the ASCOM drivers for your particular mount. Then the second main thing we did was installing EQ mod and also setting up the proper COM port so that your computer knows which port to communicate with your mount. And by now you should be able to control your mount via EQ mod right here. But the next thing I want to show you is how do you use Stellarium to actually point and slew to your object. Now, unfortunately, I'm running into the same problem that I had last time, where the Stellarium software by default will not talk to my my mount or my computer. So instead, I've had to download and install this thing called Stellarium Scope. It's not too bad; it's pretty easy. But I already have that installed, and I'm going to show you how to set it up. So you're going to, I'm just going to type in Stellarium Scope. I'm going to open it up, and it's really easy. Usually the first time you open it, it's going to give you all kinds of warnings and whatnot. It's going to tell you to update this and that. So if you haven't already, just go ahead and click this Update Stellarium Configuration, and then it's going to ask you, oh, are you sure you really want to do that? Just go ahead and say yes. And then once you're done with all that administrative housekeeping stuff, you're going to go up here. You're going to select Mount, and then you're going to select your mount. In this case, my mount is called EQ Mod ASCOM HEQ 5/6. And then I think the first time you run it, it's going to ask you to hit Properties. So just go ahead and do that. And then it's going to say that, oh, your device is already connected, so you're good to go. Then click OK again. And then you notice that nothing changes up here, but that's okay. Don't worry about that. Hit connect. You notice that down here it says scope is connected. Then you're gonna click Start Stellarium, and this should open up Stellarium automatically. Okay. I am going to minimize this because I don't have enough screen space. Move over here. And then, as a quick test, I'm going to select the star Antares. I have an idea where it should be, so I know that it should be going in that particular direction. And when it comes to Stellarium, there are two main commands you need to know. To slew to a target, you need to hit Control 1, and then to sort of do your polar alignment or to sort of center your target, you need to hit Control 3 to. So for example, when I do my polar alignment, I'm going to find Polaris through my camera, and I'm going to center that as best as I can, and then I'm going to hit Control 3. So I'm telling my mount that, okay, I've got Polaris in my mount. I'm sorry. When I do my star alignment, not polar alignment, but when I do my star alignment, I'm going to tell that, for example, oh, okay, I've got Antares in the middle of my camera, and then I'm going to hit Control 3 so that my mount would be star aligned. But for now, I'm going to do a quick test, and I'm going to hit Control 1 because I've already selected Antares as my star. I'm going to hit Control 1, and it should slew to Antares. And I'm just going to watch it go there. Yeah, that's fine. It's not pointing in the right direction because I haven't star aligned. So, but the fact of the matter is, I know that now my computer is communicating to my mount, and I'm going to park it, and that's all to it. So this is how you can set up your computer and have it communicate with your telescope mount. I hope that was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions or post it in the comments. And I'm not going to have anything to show you guys today because I don't know if you can tell, but my sky is nothing but gray. It's been nothing but gray for a long time. So hopefully I can catch a break sometime soon. And so until next time, I hope you guys will have stay healthy and clear skies, everyone. Take care. Bye.